Hi guys, welcome back. So today I thought I would talk about something that a few of you have expressed interest in hearing, which is about how I read as much as I do and my tips for you if you want to read more. I do read a lot, more than most people and more than you should feel like you need to, but I do read a lot. I have been averaging, gosh, like 7,000 to 8,000 pages a month, which is a lot. So if you are interested in getting a little bit more reading into your life, I thought I would give you some of my tips and how I do what I do. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I take a book with me everywhere. Either my Kindle or a physical book. I always have something with me in my purse, in the stroller, wherever I go, I take it with me. And if I have a chance to read, I read. So like, you know, if I'm at the park, I mean, like, honestly, like, I'll take the kids to the park and read my book and follow my youngest around and make sure he doesn't get hurt and just, like, walk around and read. This does not work for all books. There are some books that need more deep attention, but a lot of books just don't. They're a little bit lighter and easy to get through, or especially things on my Kindle. If I have something for review, I can just easily kind of open it and close it and swipe through, read as I have a chance. So I always have a book with me. If I'm waiting in line for something, if I am on the subway for a few minutes, I can like get a few pages in and read here and there. So that is a big part of it. I do read faster than I think a lot of people do, so there is that element of it. But I think more than that, it's like these things I do. So my first tip is take a book with you everywhere. Always have one. My second tip is alternate types of books so that you don't get into a reading slump. This is part of how I'm able to keep going, is that I don't read the same type of books back to back, because that'll kind of put me in a reading slump and I won't want to read for a while. So for example, let's say I'm reading a really intense, dark fantasy novel like Rain the Earth by A.C. Gowan, which is amazing, by the way. I finally read it. You know, I'm not going to go from there and pick up another intense fantasy novel because I need a break from it. So instead I might pick up something like Royals by Rachel Hawkins, which is a super light, fluffy read about royalty and romance and drama. And so alternating books that way as kind of a palate cleanser helps keep me from getting overwhelmed, helps keep me from like feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't read another thing, it's just too much. I don't know, something about it keeps the momentum up for me. I cannot, as much as I love sci-fi fantasy, I just cannot read lots and lots of them back to back, or I won't want to read anything. So instead I break it up, and that's where I throw in my contemporaries, I throw in my romances, I throw in my kind of lighter fare comedy to break up the intense sci-fi fantasy that I love to read so much. That's my second tip. Break up your reading with different genres. Don't try to read all of the same thing too much. Tip 3, do buddy reads or join a book club. At least for me, there's something about that accountability that keeps me wanting to read those things, and there's something about discussing those books with other people that makes it more fun and more interesting. And so sometimes even a book that you're like, it's not that amazing, it suddenly becomes more interesting to read when you're talking with other people about it, even if they don't really like it that much either. At least you're having fun, like joking with each other about it. For example, I'm not very far into it yet, but I recently picked up A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and there are some like cringeworthy things in that book, but I'll tell you, I am thoroughly enjoying reading it because I'm chatting about it with my friends Lauren from the Novel-ish and Leanna from Leanna's Library, and we're all quite entertained by it. So as much as there are things in it that like, you know, I'm like, really though? It's been fun because I'm chatting with friends about it. So I think that's a big thing. Buddy reads keep you on track, keep you reading things, keep you entertained, and, you know, make it a social experience. So I recommend that. Or join a book club where you're talking to other people, but find a way to get other people in your life that you're chatting with the books that you're reading about, at least for some of them. My fourth tip is get comfortable DNFing. I know. There are people, and I understand, I used to be one of them, where if you start a book, you have to finish it. It doesn't matter if you're miserable, you're gonna just keep reading that book until you finish it. And honestly, if you don't have to read something for school or whatever, if you do, you do. That it is what it is. But if you don't have to read something and you're hating it that much and it's not making you happy, just stop. There's nothing that says you have to finish that book. If you don't like it, put it down. Read something else. Find something you're actually interested in reading. There's nothing that says you have to finish every book that you start. You just don't. And even if other people love it, you don't have to finish it if you don't like it. In fact, I recently DNF'd a book that a lot of people have been loving because I just wasn't interested. I was kind of bored and I was like, I would much rather be reading other things right now, so I'm just not going to finish it. It was The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw, and I know, a lot of people have really been loving it, and I'm sure it's fine. It's not like I thought it was a bad book. I just think it wasn't for me. I was reading it, and I was like, I just don't really care. So I'm going to read something else, because there's so many other books I want to read. So get comfortable with DNFing things. So if you're like 60, 100 pages into a book and you're not loving it, or you're not really that interested and it's slowing down your reading, just put it down. Find something else to read. Get comfortable DNFing. My 5th tip is plan your TBRs well and plan them loosely. So if TBRs work for you, which I like TBRs, I like having something to generally work off of, but they're more of a guidebook instead of something I feel like I have to stick to. So I think these are the books I think I want to pick up. But if I see something at my library or see something at the bookstore that I'm like, ooh, but I really want to read that right now, then I do. And that's fine. Like, this is not a job. This should be fun. Read what you want to read when you want to read it. And I think TBRs, at least for me, are useful because they help kind of guide my reading and keep me on track with the types of things I want to read. But they're not hard and fast rules. And if I want to read something that's not on my TBR, I pick it up. Also, what I've started doing when I plan my TBRs is because I know, remember I said that palette cleanser thing of alternating genres, I now also build that into my TBRs because I know that I'm not going to be able to read all the fantasy novels in a month. There might be 20 fantasy novels I would like to read, but I just can't read all fantasy all month long. It's going to drive me crazy. It's going to slow down my reading. It's going to put me in a reading slump. So I just don't do it. I instead plan my TBRs in a way that I'm alternating types of books and have multiple genres. So finally, my 6th tip is this. If you want reading to be your priority, make reading your priority. I think a lot of times people say, oh, but I don't really have time for reading. The thing is, you make time for what you want to make time for. I mean, in the evenings, do you spend a lot of time watching Netflix or watching movies or on social media? Well, like, if you wanted to read, instead you could read. And so, like, I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch some, like I make space for it, and my husband and I watch some things together, but I don't watch a lot of it. I only watch like a few hours a week. I spend more of my recreational time reading than I do watching stuff. So like, and not that there's anything wrong with watching Netflix instead of reading. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But just like, be honest with yourself. Like if you say you don't have time for reading, it's really not true. What's true is you make time for the things that you want to prioritize. So if you decide that you want to prioritize, then like cut back on the number of shows that you're watching or the amount of time that you're spending on social media and spend more time reading. So there you go. Those are my 6 tips for getting more reading into your life. That's a lot of what I do. That's how I get through as many books as I do. I think in the month of April I read 24 books, which is a lot. I know that's kind of crazy. And to be fair, I do not have a full-time job right now. Although maybe I do, kind of. I'm raising 2 children. I mean, like, I'm raising 2 children and doing a lot of YouTube and other things. But like I don't have a normal job all day long where I can't read, so I can like fit reading in around other things. So that does help. So you may not be able to do that, but probably there are times and places and ways that you can get more reading into your life. I don't do a lot of audiobooks, but I know another thing a lot of people do is they will listen to audiobooks on their commute. I'm not as into the audiobook thing, but I know that that can be a great tip as well. So talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know if you have any thoughts or feelings on this. If you have any other tips about how people could get more reading into their lives, I would love to hear it, and I'm sure people watching the video would like to hear it. So I look forward to having a conversation with you guys in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.